Tonight, Trump versus Omarosa, round 2. It's getting worse as Omarosa releases another tape, and the president attacks her on Twitter again. Then President Trump is always happy to play racial politics on the campaign trail, and now Democrats are following his lead. But will that backfire? Also, Trump now daring Andrew Cuomo to run against him. Will the New York governor take him on in 2020, and could Cuomo beat him? Good evening and welcome to RFL. I'm Andrew Whitman, in tonight for Richard French. And just when you thought the Trump-Omarosa feud couldn't get any worse, it gets worse.
The Trump campaign taking legal action against former White House official Omarosa Manigault-Newman. Once their top surrogate for the African-American community, now they claim that she's violating a non-disclosure agreement she signed during the campaign. The White House taking aim.
This person has shown a complete lack of integrity, particularly by the actions following her time here at the White House.
This after Omarosa released another secretly taped conversation this morning on CBS. It allegedly captures campaign officials strategizing about a rumored tape of the president saying the N-word on the set of The Apprentice.
I said, well, sir, can you think of any time that this might have happened? And he said no.
Well, that's not true.
He goes, how do you think I should handle it? And I told him exactly what you just said, Omarosa, which is, well, it depends on what scenario you're talking about. And he said, well, why don't you just go ahead and put it to bed?
President Trump firing back, claiming that Apprentice producer Mark Burnett told him last night the tapes don't exist. Going even further today to insult her, tweeting, when you give a crazed, crying lowlife a break and give her a job at the White House, I guess it just didn't work out. Good work by General Kelly for quickly firing that dog. Omarosa now claiming to MSNBC that she's been interviewed by special counsel Robert Mueller's office.
Have you been interviewed by the special counsel?
I have.
Her book, Unhinged, hitting bookshelves today.
By the way, that was Lynn Patton on the tape with Omarosa. Lynn Patton, now the regional administrator for HUD in the New York region. Meanwhile, many of the questions at the White House press briefing dealt with Omarosa and whether President Trump has used the N-word.
Can you stand at the podium and guarantee the American people they'll never hear Donald Trump utter the N-word on a recording in any context?
I can't guarantee anything, but I can tell you that the president addressed this question directly. I can tell you that I've never heard it.
So no guarantee. And then amazingly, Sanders blamed the media for keeping the story in the news, even though President Trump has now sent out more than 10 tweets about Omarosa.
I think not only those of us here in the White House, but frankly, I think most of America would be happy to ignore it. Unfortunately, the individuals in this room continue to create a large platform for somebody they know not to have a lot of credibility, for someone they frankly refuse to give a platform to when they worked here at the White House.
Everybody just bathed in glory on this one, and that is a title that actually fits for our panel tonight. That's Dominic Carter, political journalist and author. And on the other side of the table, Charlie King. He is the New York co-chairman at Mercury Public Affairs. He was a senior campaign advisor to Andrew Cuomo's re-election campaign, and he's now hosting a new podcast called Big Shot, soon to be available on your favorite podcast app. Just look for it. Charlie, welcome. We talked about this a little bit yesterday with Dominic. I'm curious just what your reaction is in general to everything with Omarosa and Trump and all of this.
I mean, it's disgusting. I mean, what I'd like to do is the comparison between Donald Trump and Barack Obama, not in terms of their policy, but in terms of the character and the dignity of the office. And regardless of what you think of what Barack Obama did or did not do in the office, he actually elevated it. So regardless of who you supported or what you thought, you felt that the White House meant something. Here you've got the President of the United States calling a person that he personally selected to be the top African American to represent his policies to the country a low-life dog. And to me, that speaks volumes not about Omarosa, but the president himself. And when his spokesperson can't guarantee that the President of the United States has not used the N-word, what does it say to my children, to Dominic's children? I don't know if you have children or not, or you're willing to admit it or not, but to anyone who has kids or not, I mean, what does it say to any of us whether or not the President of the United States has used that, and what kind of tone does that set for America, for the country?
So it's clearly not outside the realm of possibility that this president in the past has used that word, right? I think we all agree that it's both possible and plausible and maybe even probable that he did. Here's my question. If the tape comes out with him saying the N-word, does it matter? I mean, with this president, where his numbers are, what he's already done on race, does it for a normal politician, Dominic, that would be the end of their career, or darn close to the end of their career. Would it make a difference about Donald Trump?
Yes. It won't change the way that this president acts, but it will force the Republican Party to distance itself, which has seemed impossible up to this point, to distance itself from this president. It depends on the timing of when, but I don't think those tapes will surface, because if they didn't surface in the heat of a presidential campaign.
No, that's fair, and I get that, but I'm just trying to envision some of those people at Trump rallies, and I can't imagine that many of them would be like, oh, wait a minute, he said the N-word? No. This is a step too far. I mean, there might be other people who'd be affected by it, but you really think it would hurt his numbers?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think there is a core group of people in America that no matter what happens, it will never hurt his numbers. That's a fact. But it's not like he won by a landslide, and by the way, it's not like he won the popular vote. So it doesn't take a lot to tilt America to somebody else to run this country. So I think it does make a difference at the end of the day as to whether or not Donald Trump remains president or not. And I think Dominic's exactly right that Republicans are going to be forced to, at some point, disavow the morality of this president, because it's just going too far. And the culmination of everything becomes too much to bear.
To refer to, we all know what the term, what the B word means, what a female dog. And you refer to the highest ranking African-American woman, as Charlie said, that you appointed, Mr. President, and you call her a dog. What about the dignity? And you know, I hate to say this, but they deserve each other. But I really believe that, and this train may have already left the station, this president needs to be careful, because he may have met his match this time in Omarosa. We don't know what tape she has that she's about to drop. And we're hearing all this talk about NDAs and so on. I don't think that really matters to either one of them. And I think there's, as I said last night, there's going to be a lot more to this story.
You made a great point, Charlie, about the fact that Trump hired Omarosa, tweeted out after, this week that the only reason he hired her is because she said nice things about him and that she complimented him and that sort of thing. But I know I keep coming back to the same question. Is that baked in on this president too? Do people just assume, well, yeah, he's a reality show guy, he hired a reality show woman? It's not, I mean, you would think at some point that would be held against this president, but then again, he seems to be playing by a different scorebook.
Well, again, I think that he's given a great deal of latitude by those who support him. And I think that's, to his credit, that's fine. But that circle is going to get smaller and smaller the more that he takes liberties with things like this. It's not like his base was saying, oh, this is great with Omarosa. Oh, it's great that you've got, Cohen as your lawyer. Oh, it's great that you're doing all of these things that are outside of the box that keep backfiring. So the more that adds up, it peels away from not the core, but the outer core.
But Dominic, she was already a joke when she got the job. I mean, most people rolled their eyes and were like, whatever. Mm-hmm. I mean, so the price that he paid for hiring her, he might have paid when he hired her, not necessarily now.
But my point is this: is she a joke now? I don't think so. We don't know what recordings. Yeah, it was laughable. No one, even in the White House, certainly amongst the press corps, referred to her in a serious nature. But the evidence, the proof is in the pudding, or whatever the term is, and whatever's on those tapes, we don't know what she's going to drop next. She said she spoke to Mueller, the special counsel. Mm-hmm. We don't know. We know that the president is a free spirit. We know that they're very good friends. We don't know what she recorded him saying. And I just want to say this one point, because this is very important. So the president refers to the producer of The Apprentice and says, I asked him if such a tape exists. Think about that for a second. If you said something that we shouldn't say, you already know. You don't have to ask someone whether or not a tape exists.
That's right.
That almost says it all right there.
It does. It does. You just wonder if it's going to be like a tree falling in a forest, you know, and nobody's there. You just wonder, will this stuff have any impact?
That, as Charlie's point, that might be the turning point. That might be the point, because he didn't win in a landslide.
Fair enough.
The only thing I disagree with what Charlie said, I think he's already done. One term and it's over. America has had enough.
All of those points are well taken. It's just that this is like the 500th potential turnaround, spot on all of this. So we'll see how this one plays out. But up next, an interesting follow-up conversation, because the Trump-Omarosa battle has flared up yet another race controversy for this president. Trump, as we all know, has been known to make race an issue on the campaign trail and then double and triple down on it. But now it looks like Democrats are trying to take a page from his playbook and inject race into the midterms. Will it work?